Okay, so uh, welcome back. This is the Adam Messer Show, and I'm your host, Adam Messer. And today I have some very special guests with me here in the studio. I have Marianne Ganem-Poppell, and I have Kendra DeMoura. I'd like to just share with you what they've got going on. They have a business called Good Cause Marketing. And Good Cause Marketing is a woman owned cause marketing company based in Savannah. Co founders Kendra DeMoura and Marianne Ganem-Poppell launched the company in 2019 to help small and medium sized businesses connect with important causes in the Savannah area. Through partnering local for I'm sorry, through partnering local for profit companies and nonprofit organizations and causes, Good Cause Marketing creates and implements. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just kind of choked up right now. Custom marketing campaigns that highlight and promote both the cause itself and the supporting business investments in the community. In addition to, imagine, sorry, y'all. In addition to imaging campaigns and implementing them, Good Cause Marketing assists its clients with brand development, social media, event planning, media relations, and business networking. So, welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having us.
So excited to be here. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all being here. Now, for everybody listening at home, you may remember that Marianne was on the show with us last year, and I've known Marianne for a couple of years now. I don't know, like maybe going like 4 or 5 years, maybe. And you're always doing like a lot of cool stuff around town. Especially with the Savannah Master Calendar, and then you guys, both y'all started this up last year. So can you tell us a little bit more about it and how it kind of came together?
Yeah, so I've had Savannah Master Calendar for years, and that kind of evolved and grew, and it was cool to have such a great resource for the community. And Kendra had moved to Savannah, and had the pleasure, so lucky to meet her. And she started working for Savannah Master Calendar. And as we kind of started working with clients, and as we saw the community shift and change and see what our clients' needs were, together we developed Good Cause Marketing. So we were able to create this company, and come up with kind of custom campaigns that really would just help our clients' marketing efforts shoot off the chart, which was really good. I mean, we both have, I think, just huge hearts and want to help so many. And it's like, okay, how can you help people use your talent and earn a living? And so this is the way we decided to do it. It's been a great road. We started it officially end of last year, and we've had obviously several challenges in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also offered us the opportunity to really use our creative minds and think outside the box a lot more than traditional marketing. And I'll kind of let Kendra talk a little bit, give you the mission and exactly what Good Cause Marketing is. But that is kind of how it just really, a lot of thought and a lot of what people needed, companies needed, and how we could help. That's kind of how it got started. But I'll let Kendra take it from there. She's can tell us exactly what Good Cause Marketing is.
All right.
Thanks, Marianne. Yeah, so Marianne and I we sort of continually saw that companies we were working with or who had partnered with Savannah Master Calendar were needing sort of more and more customized marketing services. And because we were working with so many different types of businesses that had different goals in their either corporate giving or team volunteerism or in their just what mattered to them as far as community causes were concerned. We just saw that the need for us to be able to customize our services was certainly there and was going to allow us to grow both Savannah Master Calendar as that wonderful media resource that Marianne has for the community, but then allow us to grow that marketing company and be able to really creatively, like Marianne said, think outside the box, meet our clients with small businesses or micro businesses or established medium-sized local businesses where they were and to meet their needs most efficiently. So we launched Good Cause. We've been working diligently with our clients to sort of reassess how we tell their story and tell about their community involvement, especially now with COVID-19 having affected us these past few months. A lot of events and fundraising events that were in-person type projects, we've had to sort of reimagine as how do we still help our corporate clients make an impact in a way that works well and works safely, but still helps the community at this really crucial time. So I've been very grateful that we have a company that we're able to work so dynamically with the obstacles the pandemic has presented. But I feel we've been able to really help our clients find their footing in all of this and continue to do the good that it's really wonderful to see Savannah-based companies doing and to have their hearts in the right places right now. So
I completely agree. I've had to reschedule. Marianne knows this. Kendra, I know this is like our first time chit-chatting, but I have been doing, and Marianne's a big supporter of the Savannah Quill stuff that I've done over the last 4 years. And, she's offered me, pro bono advertisement, letting people know about the convention. And, because we come together to connect writers and readers to promote literacy. And the last couple of years, I've worked with Southbound Brewing Company, and they've sponsored us for the Books and Brews event that I host so that we could raise funds for the Ronald McDonald Charities of the Coastal Empire. And Marianne's always been a huge supporter of that. She's never charged me a dime. She's actually, answered some questions for me, like when I've been like, hey, what do you think about this? And I think it's wonderful, the fact that you're doing a much needed service, because companies often, what I find is that they want to be able to reach out, but they might not know the needs or the resources that they can help with in the community. And that's kind of where you guys come into play, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've spent years working with different nonprofits and different community organizations to know what their needs are and building those relationships. And then again, having the marketing background, the writing background. Kendra has a phenomenal writing background and creative background as well. Being able to say, okay, we are really good at this. We know this is a need in the community. How can we bring it all together and work together so that everyone benefits? And, it tends to, I think, it has to come across in a certain way, because you don't ever want to look like a company, number one, that they're tooting their own horn.
Right.
Or that they're just doing good just for publicity.
Right.
And so that's a big thing. I mean, and we spend a lot of time with our clients researching and understanding what is actually important to them. And then finding a way to convey that to, whether it be their current clients or new clients. Because I think it is so important. I mean, anyone can pay for commercial time. Anyone can do social media and say that you're great because you say you're great. Well, let us prove it. Let us help you prove to the clients that you want to get that, you're not just in it to pad your own pockets. I mean, obviously we all have to make a living, but with there being so many people in this world in need, and organizations, let's find a way that we can all help, whether it be a little bit or a lot. And that can be with monetary donations if it can be afforded. It can be with volunteerism. It can be using your network to get the word out about organizations. There's so many different ways that you can help others and still help yourself.
Yeah, I think it's they talk about being a responsible citizen, or corporate citizenship, and I think the same thing applies with small businesses as well, because you know if you're benefiting from your community who patronize your business, then it's not just about turnkey operations and saying, hey, I'm selling this widget, you're going to come here and buy it because you want this widget. It's like, well, how can you turn around and actually serve the community as well? Because it's kind of like this old sales motto. You could sell somebody something one time, but that doesn't mean that you earn that client. So I think it's really important with volunteering. Like you said, nobody wants to see somebody tooting their own horn, or like a glad hand or something like that. You want to see the folks that are actually trying to make an impact, trying to make a difference. And yeah, I mean, you need to make a living. I think that offering a service that people need and helping show, hey, this is how you can be a responsible business owner and give back to the organizations in the community that need it. Let me do a station ID real quick. We'll be right back. Everybody, you're listening to WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And on top of that, so for example, the Books and Brews event for the Ronald McDonald Charities, we were going to do it like in May, and then or I think it was actually in April, and then we postponed it to June, which was going to be like next week. And then I just talked to Mackenzie over there at Southbound Brewing Company, and I was like, I don't really think people are going to feel comfortable, kind of gathering in a big group. She agreed. She was saying the same thing. And so we decided just to postpone it, and we're going to, look at it later on in the year, just because it's, there's still people that are, affected by the, coronavirus, and, it just felt like it was the right thing to do. But what that means is that the funds that we would have raised, we're going to have to figure out a way, like, how can we, make up those funds at the next event? How can we still meet our goal of what we want to raise for the, the Ronald McDonald House this year? So those are some of the challenges, it sounds like, that you guys have been dealing with especially with event planning and things like that. How have you been able to deal with that?
Well, and there have been a few different ways. We've been able to translate some events virtually, and that's worked successfully, but that's not a model that works for every type of event. So we had a few events that were planned for this summer. Actually, we as a company were planning to do a women's leadership event in April originally, that we've rescheduled for March of next year. And fingers crossed that will be able to be held as scheduled this time around. But we just realized that like an event like that was very much about having women leaders in the community together to share stories, to share information, to network and build connections. That wasn't going to translate as well virtually. So we decided to sort of reschedule and cross our fingers, like I said. So that's a couple examples there. But as far as some of the other events that we were envisioning, community events, we've sort of adjusted those to be more successful as marketing campaigns that could be taken to social media or promoted with local media, and we can sort of tell the stories that way versus gathering people in 100 people in an area, either outdoors or indoors, where they may not feel comfortable or could potentially be in a situation that might be riskier than we all would like to create right now. Just kind of avoiding that altogether and thinking creatively in terms of how we can get information out.
Can you give me some specific, like an example of, one of the organizations that you've been working with, and like how you made some change-ups?
Certainly. So we work with a local law firm that has been really focusing on their community efforts and has just been wonderful in that. And they were hoping to do some events over the course of the summer that had to be rethought of. And then with the need for protective equipment that arose and the shortages that a lot of local nursing homes and senior care facilities were experiencing, we were able to work with them. They were able to very generously purchase 1,000 face masks, and we were able to help them connect with different senior care facilities to distribute those masks and make sure that the healthcare workers and people living at those homes were able to have the protective equipment that they needed. So that's sort of one example of how we've rethought things and adapted them for right now in this moment.
I think it's great. I actually know who you're talking about. I saw it, and I think that was a wonderful thing. I like that too, because it's a way to be able to segue into what people need, and then also with larger companies that might have, more disposable income to be able to say, hey, we're going to use this money for XYZ company or XYZ organization or whatever, and kind of just mapping that out for them, saying, hey, we've got this great organization, or we can help you connect with these different groups in town or whatever. Because there are a lot of great charitable organizations here in Savannah. It seems like there's always normally not right now because of the pandemic, but normally like every week is packed full of fundraisers and charitable dinners and 5K races. And I write I write for the Do Savannah, Kendra, and I usually cover events and stuff like that. And it's just there aren't really a whole lot of events going on right now, so I can see where this pandemic's also impacted the community, which means that normally the resources that they would be collecting from donations and that kind of thing, they've got to be hurting as well.
Well, and I think that's it. This is not ideal for anyone. You can probably count on one hand financially how COVID has affected people, negatively or positively. So on one hand, positively, obviously grocery stores, they're doing great. There's certain companies, but everybody else is trying to find a way. And for those nonprofits and businesses that want to give back, nonprofits are looking at major losses because we've all spent years perfecting these events that either we help coordinate, we host, we plan for, and now that rug is just pulled out from everybody. But it's more of an easy sell for donors to say, okay, your name is going to be in front of this couple of hundred people. It's going to go on social media. So you do all those certain touches with marketing, plus your money is going to this good cause. And so now everyone is turning to social media, obviously. So the algorithms are messed up. You're just getting drowned on there. So how can you stand out? And how do you go to these big donors who are also probably suffering financially and ask for these, large sums of money? Or do you focus on the $10 and $20 you get with an online click? So it's really thinking outside the box, and it's hurting everyone. I know probably a lot of people feel isolated, like they're in a bubble and they're struggling and they can't understand, that maybe everybody is struggling. But I think you have two options. You can either give up and throw your hands up in the air and sit there and cry, which I'm sure everybody does on certain days. Or you say, okay, we have this situation. How can we make it better? We're all still on this earth. We all still want to do good. We all still have to, figure our way. And that's what we're here to do, come up with creative ways to make it work.
Well, that's one of the reasons, actually, that's the main reason why, Marianne, that I wanted you both to be on the show today, because I love volunteering. The Ronald McDonald Charities is my charity of choice. One of the big things that they had to cut out this year was the wine and fries event, which is I think it was the Red Shoe, the Wine, Women, and Shoes event,
Yeah.
was their real big one, and like I think that's their biggest one of the whole year, and they're gonna have to reschedule it or whatever. But I was thinking, I was like, okay, I like to volunteer, I like to help others, I like to raise money, and what y'all are doing is fantastic. I mean, I think it's a great way to be able to help. Well, it's a great way for people like that have the means to be able to help, but they don't know how to help, to connect with those organizations that are like, hey, like the Deep Center, they help children with literacy. They have a program where they're teaching kids. They've got the West Broad Street YMCA. They help children with a meal plan every year. Day in 365 days a year. So there's so many different groups out there that, like you said, the algorithm is messed up on social media because everybody's, posting everything on social media. And so a lot of it's kind of falling as noise and people aren't seeing it. Like, I'll give you an example. I usually, on everybody's birthday on Facebook, I always post happy birthday. I don't know if even if I don't talk to the person or if I've just met them through Facebook, I always post happy birthday. And like, I don't see those posts all the time now. Like, I don't see like, so-and-so's birthday. I had some today that were from 3 days ago that Facebook didn't show me. And I really don't know how to get in there and find out where people's birthdays are. So, there's a lot of stuff that's getting missed out there, but I love the fact that, you guys are working on trying to, well, this difficult time that we're all dealing with, you're trying to, make a positive impact, and you're also trying to lead and show others like, hey, like you say, we're all going to have those days where it's like, oh man, the nothing's going right for me kind of days, but you got to kind of just buckle down and say, okay, well, it might not be such a great day, but what's that one, step that I can take today? What's that one action that I can do today that can make things better, or I can move forward towards my goal? So,
right. And we come in, I mean, especially with smaller businesses, when you've got a business owner that is doing everything, and especially right now, who knows what the situation is, whether it's a customer service type business or they actually sell something. I mean, they're probably having to take on
multiple
way
roles.
more hours and multitasking. And so, marketing is generally not top of mind for them, or even if they do have that, their brain kind of works that way. That's not something they can focus on. And that's where we come in, where we can say, we can spend time with them and understand their business, and then understand all of the resources and tools out there to use, and then put it together, come up with a campaign, that's within their budget. But that's our expertise. And so
you all do the heavy lifting for them.
Yeah, I always think that's important, that people have to, that it took me a long time to understand, like, everybody's brains don't work the same. It seems so natural for me. I'm like, why don't you just get this? But they're not. Like, an engineer more than likely is not going to understand like the sales and marketing part of the business, and that's okay.
And I think, too, an important component of what we do, a lot of these businesses we work with were doing great things and had demonstrated commitment to a certain nonprofit, or maybe a few nonprofits that deal with a similar cause that was really important to the owners or to the business team collectively, prior to us stepping in and assisting them with any marketing services. But to make corporate giving or team volunteer programs or any sort of for-profit and nonprofit partnership really successful in the long term, the business does need to be getting something back from that partnership. If they're making a large donation, or their team's donating X number of hours, or they're giving services or goods in kind, the nonprofit, I feel, should be promoting that, and should be telling that story to their donors and their supporters, because this is how we know who in our community is stepping up and helping fill these needs with their time or their dollars. But this also allows us to, track if a corporate giving strategy, be it monetary or through volunteering, is successful and be able to provide some sort of ROI, we need participation from both sides of that equation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we're going to build successful marketing campaigns and successful for-profit and nonprofit relationships that will be able to survive economic downturn, because that business at the end of the day will know this works for us, it's important to us, and we're getting a return on our investment because people in the community know we're invested here and we're giving our time and our resources.
Oh, I completely agree. And that is probably one of the biggest opportunities that charitable organizations can do. Some of them are really, top level, and they know, like this is their profession. Some other people, they might not have all the business acumen, and that's a great resource to be able to offer them and saying, hey, you're a nonprofit. If you want to attract more sponsors and donors and things like that, these are some of the things that you can offer, as an exchange. Ask your participants to patronize the business. Or like, for example, with the Savannah Quill, I didn't have any money. I mean, I used the money for the convention space, but I bought a banner and I put all the logos of the, sponsors on it, and I put it on my social media. I made sure I, thank them for, their sponsorships and that kind of thing. And that was the level that I could do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So everybody's level is a little different. Hold that thought. I need to do the station break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, everybody. And thank you, ladies, for being with us today. And we'll be right back.
Now you have a chance to support both Savannah Independent Artists and WRUU during this shelter-in-place order to stop the spread of COVID-19. Creatives in Need is a group of independent artists hosted by the Roots Up Gallery, which is collaborating with WRUU during this shelter-in-place to offer an online art gallery at www.rootsupgallery.com. For every work of art sold at this online gallery, the artists receive 80% from the sales, and 20% goes to WRUU and its programs like Art on the Air. Interested listeners can go to www.rootsupgallery.com to start shopping today.
The Live Oak Public Library System offers local residents access to hundreds of thousands of movies, television programs, albums, audiobooks, ebooks, and digital comic books for free on your streaming television and mobile devices through the Hoopla app. Supported devices include Roku, Fire, Apple TV, iPhone, and Android, among others. The selection is vast. All you'll need is your library card. Find the Hoopla app on your device and more information at liveoakpl.org.
WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is brought to you by listeners and the Ships of the Sea Museum. One of the hidden secrets of the Ships of the Sea Museum is its gardens. Native plants are interspersed with exotic tropical plants throughout the gardens. Visitors can enjoy everything that has earned the Ships of the Sea Museum the Trip Experts 2015 Experts' Choice Award. You can find out more about the Ships of the Sea Museum at the website shipsofthesea.org.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And you are listening to the Adam Messer Show here on WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And my special guests today are Marianne Ganem-Poppell and Kendra DeMoura. And we were talking about their good cause marketing. So, like, right before the break, we were talking about, like, just how businesses can be responsible and help. And then also, Kendra, you touched a little bit on the return on investment. So let's break it down, like, more in layman terms instead of corporate speak. When it comes to the community, what should people be looking for? Like, if they're, say, a business owner out there, a small business owner, what should they be looking for to try to do if they, and you guys offer different levels of service or whatever, but what are the kind of things that they can do to make an impact, in today's world?
Well, I think there's a few different approaches we would recommend they take. I think first they need to know what they're comfortable donating. If that's a certain budget for monetary donations that they're going to give, or if they are interested in sponsorship opportunities, be it for sports leagues, youth sports leagues, or a certain venue or a certain nonprofit or event. If they are a company that has a service that is potentially helpful to a group, if they're a plumber or electrician, and maybe they could donate to an organization like Ronald McDonald House in kind with those services. So kind of looking at what they do, what their resources are, and thinking outside of just money. Do they have a team that feels really passionately about a certain cause and wants to get involved? Can they comp a certain amount of hours for their employees to go out in the community and spend that time volunteering? Or is it better for them to organize a team activity on a certain day where they go out as an office or as a workplace and all help, paint a room at a nonprofit facility, or assemble meals for a nonprofit that's helping with hunger issues. There's so many different ways, and I think being able to figure out what that business and its not only its owners but its employees are passionate about, and being able to figure out how to really find a good fit with a local organization, nonprofit organization that's working in that area, that's kind of the best place to start. So kind of knowing what your resources are and what you care about. And if maybe you haven't found that cause as a company that speaks to you yet, maybe there's a cause that makes sense to you as a business, a certain group that you'd like to reach or do business with more often, that that nonprofit either serves, or that they're, say it's in the, say perhaps you are a tourism or hospitality business here in Savannah. It might make sense for you to get involved with historic preservation because that goes hand in hand with what you do.
Yeah.
So sort of thinking at it, if there isn't a cause that immediately, is in your heart, maybe there's something that just makes sense and dovetails very nicely with what you do professionally.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I know Marianne and Scott West, they were really good. Marianne, you were really good at like kind of marrying the two, like you would, like people coordinator, so that's, Kendra, that kind of sounds like what y'all are trying to do with the good cause marketing, in addition to, helping the businesses be able to, set up responsible giving, so let's say somebody.
I think what, again, kind of piggybacking on what Kendra said too, is that, like she said, getting your employees involved, that's huge. I mean, they get excited about it too. And I think so many either business owners or managers just, you're on that narrow path of you're just trying to check off the boxes every day of what you're doing. But the more you can get involved, and then again with that nonprofit, letting them know that we're doing this for you. And again, back to social media, like sharing and the photos and getting in front of as many people as you can so that they recognize your brand. Because right now, you're not going to have the traditional networking where you can meet face to face, shake hands, and they're doing business with people they like. So you have to find new ways to get in front of these people so that they know that your business exists and why they should be doing business with you.
Right. I agree. So with the the services that y'all offer, let's just say Joe Independent Plumber or whatever. I don't know why I thought of Joe Plumber. I guess because that guy back in the day. but let's say, like, because I was just kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, Kendra. Let's just say Joe Plumber, is out there and he's never done any kind of like volunteering, but he, maybe he perchance sees something online, or maybe his significant other sees something online and is like, hey, you know what? You're a plumber. Maybe you could donate some time. Would that be something that somebody could contact y'all and say, hey, I don't know where to get started. I do this service, can you connect me? Is that something that y'all do as well?
So in a consulting capacity, definitely we would be happy to meet with a business like that and sort of help them answer the questions you were kind of just speaking about, like what do they have to give and how, which causes matter to them, and sort of help steer them towards nonprofits in the area that are doing that work and where we think there would be a possible strong partnership. Definitely.
Okay. That sounds good. So if you're out there and you have an independent company and maybe you've never thought about volunteering some of your time with an organization, it's a good time to send it out there, because right now, like you said, there aren't these events, and there's definitely not the marketing and networking events that are usually going on. And then the charitable events, I think the charitable events are a lot more fun. I don't really like necessarily some of the networking events that I've been to in the past, because just kind of sometimes you can kind of feel it out when people are being, they're just there just to kind of sell you on the idea, like, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this. Mm-hmm. But I like the charitable stuff because you see folks out there that they care about the same cause that you care about, and they're doing it because they want to help other people, and I love connecting with folks like that. So it's pretty cool. Let me do a station ID. We've got to do it a quarter hour, and then we will come right back. So everybody, you listen to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So, tell us a little bit more about how you got into this with, kind of like the brainchild of, let's put this all together, and then putting it, making it actually come to fruition.
You want to take it, Kendra?
Sure. No pressure. So my background originally was in writing and publishing. That's what I went to school for at first. I've been back to school since. But I have sort of always had, I've always sort of been a creative person who also has a lot of strong organizational skills. Mm-hmm. So for me, I sort of was lucky enough to, by chance, see that Marianne, when I moved to Savannah, Marianne was looking for someone to help with Savannah Master Calendar, and was sort of looking for someone who had a skill set and organizational skills like mine. So that was kind of just a very happy coincidence. But from there, I guess it was all sort of in response to, I had been able to, in my professional career in publishing, I had worked for a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit science publication that had focused on open access publishing. So I had sort of already enjoyed what it felt like to work at a workplace that had a strong mission and had a team that sort of everyone was sharing that vision and working towards a goal that was to hopefully leave the world a better place. And I felt like with Savannah Master Calendar on this local scale here in Savannah, that was something we got to do all the time. Or Marianne still does. I've since refocused just on good cause, but by going out in the community and being able to help people make those connections to nonprofits, or find the business networking event that was going to help them succeed and better showcase their skills in their business. it was very rewarding to be able to help people in that way. So I guess it was sort of an evolution of skills I had, and then recognizing that the businesses we were working with in Savannah Master Calendar were doing so many great things and needed help with their marketing and telling their stories about their, the causes they were working for or advocating for. They needed help doing that better. And we had the connections and the know-how, and Marianne definitely has that very strong marketing background that I've been sort of educating myself in. I have had a little bit of that from publishing, but it's been a lot of learning on the job and listening to great podcasts and reading great books and getting myself up to speed to supplement my writing and creative skills with those specific marketing skills. But anyway, it's been sort of an evolution of that for me personally, and then good cause marketing kind of being the culmination of what makes sense as a business going forward. How do we kind of bring these ideas together and these skills together in a way that really gives our clients the edge that they need to show the community we're here, we care, and this is how.
I think that's great. Marianne, I know a lot of people know you, but can you talk a little bit about your background with it?
Yeah, so I have a really strong business and marketing background. Obviously, I mean, I love helping people. That is probably my strength and weakness. I go above and beyond. When I took over Savannah Master Calendar totally on my own, it was quite a task. I mean, thank God, Kendra moved to Savannah when she did.
Yeah.
But, we rebranded. We were doing so many new things. But, again, it's like trying to focus on staying in your lane. And we just kept growing. And the more we did, the more people wanted. And so it was really kind of the evolution of that business. But also we were drowning. I mean, we were working, literally 24/7, 7 days a week with.
I know. I remember a couple of times you were like 3 or 4 different events in the same day.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I remember when you came to the book festival or my little convention. It's like you were there in the morning, and then you're like, I've got to go here and here and here. I was like, oh my gosh! And you had the boys with you and your mom, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you do all this, and you're a mom, and you have a family. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so we joke because I'm Lebanese, so we travel in tribes, so me and the whole family, I'm like, come on, mom's got to work, let's all go. But yeah, I mean, I do think, on a side note, like, that's super cool for my kids. Like, they all want to get back and want to do good, and they're so cute. They're little entrepreneurs on their own. They've got their own little things going, and they're so proud, and I'm so proud of them. So that's really cool. But anyway, as we continued to do more back end marketing and more people kept coming to us, it didn't make sense for us to continue to assist clients behind the scenes with Savannah Master Calendar when that's not what that company was designed for,
right,
or not the mission of that company. So
it really was set up originally to be like a nonprofit event sharing site, right?
Right.
Kind of like if you had a nonprofit event, you could share, and then everybody would, you'd have different like top lists or whatever, like the top 10 or whatever. And but yeah, it's grown so much. I mean, like I think I first got on the list with y'all. Gosh, it had to be like 2016 or maybe 2015 or something like that. Just subscribing to it.
Right. And so that was the idea, so that people knew what was going on in Savannah. Because I'm going to tell you, if I hear one more time, like, there's nothing to do in Savannah, I'm like, clearly you are not looking at the right place. Because,
like what rock were you looking under for?
Yeah, I say all the time, like, I want to be bored. I want to have nothing to do. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do and so many people to help. Like, get
Mm-hmm.
on it. And then also to help the nonprofits, no matter what the size, but to help with scheduling conflicts because,
Yeah, that's a big one.
yeah, when you've got 7 events in one night and, you've got a good number of people that want to support the majority of these nonprofits, and the nonprofits should be supporting each other as well. So, to build these partnerships, that's what it was created for. Now that we do have such a solid following, we've got, a very large database, we're able to reach so many people. We want to continue that mission of doing good, but also to help some smaller businesses get their name out there. So we really, that's kind of evolved. We've got a cool blog that's been growing, and just coming up with new ways that we can get information out to the community. So that's Savannah Master Calendar. We will have advertising on the website, which will be the first time that we've actually done that. It will be minimal, but
well, I love the fact that you had. I mean, like, that's a good problem to have. It became such an overwhelming thing and such an overwhelming demand that you had to make a spinoff. And you completely made a whole new company because I from my understanding, and I'm not, everybody out there, I don't know the fact checking on this, but from my understanding, Good Cause Marketing is the first marketing group like that in Savannah that focuses on doing what you're doing for nonprofits and corporations and businesses. I don't really know of another business out there. There might be, I don't know, but I haven't heard of any others. So
yeah, we know of some great marketing firms and public relation firms that do great things.
Oh, I know a bunch of PR firms.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, specifically what y'all are doing.
Right. Specifically this niche, as far as I know, we are the first and the best. I'm kidding.
You are the best. I mean, like, I honestly admire what you're doing so much. I try to do what I can where I can. And I just see what y'all are doing, and I'm like, oh, man, I need to try to do what I can to help spread the word and get the word out there, and I was like, I gotta get you back on the radio. So I'm so glad that you could come on.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
And we appreciate, because it's funny, as good as we are and the good that we do for our clients and for the nonprofit, it's so hard to talk about yourself.
It is. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, the thing, nobody likes somebody that pats himself on the back, or that they're trying to get I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Like, I always have, like, that is always like a teeter-totter for me because there's a lot of stuff that I do that I never tell anybody about. Like, there's stuff that I'll do that I will never tell anybody about just because I believe in that, that you should do your praying in private. You know what I mean? Right. And you should do your good deeds not because you're trying to get, glory. But there's times where I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If I share this with somebody, it's going to reach somebody that might be encouraged to take action and do some kind of good charitable work. And I'm not trying to ask for kudos. I'm not trying to ask for a attaboy, but it's almost like kind of like the whole thing about, trying to get people to do charitable works. You have to tell them about it and say, hey, we're going to be doing this event, and these are the things that we're going to be doing. And, if you like kickball, we're having a kickball fundraiser. Come check it out. That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I look at, I was raised in a family that always gave and did. And I look at my grandmother, and I mean, the amount of checks that I know that she wrote and the things that she did, but it was just because it is the right thing to do.
Right.
That is what you do, but, and again, not encouraging anyone to toot their own horn, but the more that the business or the person that is supporting whatever nonprofit they want to, the more they're telling people and other people want to as well. And that, that's to your point. I mean, It is. It's not about saying I'm doing good, but it's like, hey, did you know about this nonprofit? Did you know about this? Because that's the only way people are going to know. And at the end of the day, as much as I love marketing and believe in it and know that you need it, word of mouth and trusting your best friend or your family member is always going to be the best resource.
I agree. I agree. We need to pause that, hold that thought, because we're going to come back at 4:00 and we're going to be talking about, like more about what y'all are doing and how people can get involved and how, businesses can talk with you about your services and that kind of stuff. So everybody, you're tuning in today to listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
You are listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. This is Sounds of